So here we go. Welcome to another edition of the League One Lowdown. Today I'm joined by good old James Richings, the man who covers all things Wycombe Wanderers for the Bucks Free Press, reporting them home and away. James, thanks for joining me first of all. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you, Ross. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you. I'm doing fine. I am coping in this very hot weather that we're having, but I can't complain. I'm loving life, and the season's 10 days away, so I'm excited. Excited for the year ahead, that's for sure.
Indeed, yeah, the countdown is on for the 30th of July. It's going to be an exciting League One campaign. A lot of big teams in the division. Let's recap Wycombe's season then, James. Playoff final defeat is always a disappointing end to the season. Getting all the way to Wembley and then losing against Sunderland 2-0. How would you look back at last season as a whole?
I think it was, I would say a successful season, but then people may say, well, you didn't get promoted, so how is it a success? You look at the teams that Wycombe are up against, your Sheffield Wednesdays, your Rotherhams, your Wycombes, your Sunderlands, even your Ipswiches. Even though Wycombe were starting the league season as a new team in the league following their relegation from the Championship, people still weren't looking at them as a favourite to go up. So the fact that they got 83 points, which is the highest they've ever managed to get in a League One season, they beat teams that they historically don't really beat. It was a very successful season on the pitch. It just didn't have that fairy tale ending that we were all hoping for. But you can't really complain because Sunderland were very good on the day and Wycombe just couldn't handle it, really. So overall, it was a successful season, and no doubt Gareth Ainsworth will be hoping to go one better this year.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, 83 points, and Wycombe finished sixth, which is just mad. Normally, I think it's the average is like 70 points. Ipswich Town got 70 points, and they finished 11th. So it was a crazy League One campaign. I'm sure it's going to be the same this year. You're going to need a lot of points. Well, what is the current mood then, James? Of course, you know, Wycombe fans will want to do one better, hopefully this year, get promotion again. But as a whole, what's current mood at the moment?
I think the current mood is obviously excitement because going so close the previous year but not getting there, there's obviously a hope that they can achieve it this season. But there's also a case of the unknown because several big players have left the club this summer. So Anthony Stewart, probably one of the best centre backs I've ever seen, playing for Wycombe, he's gone to Aberdeen. You've got the likes of David Stockdale, who played every second of the league season and playoff campaign. He was the only player for Wycombe not to miss a single match. He's gone to Sheffield Wednesday, one of the rivals for promotion. Adibert Akinfenwa has now retired. That was always going to be the case before a ball was even kicked last season. So those three players were massive last season in terms of Wycombe getting into the position that they were in. And even prior to that, when Wycombe got promoted in 2020, those three players played their part. Bayo was at the club and they got promoted in 2018, as was Stewart. So those players know Wycombe inside and out. So the club are going through a very transitional period at the moment. So there is this element of excitement because the new season's starting. You want to really hit the ground running and try and achieve the ultimate goal of promotion. But there is also a case of the unknown because as it stands at the moment, Wycombe have only got one goalkeeper in Tyler Dickinson, and he's the development goalkeeper. There are rumours that Nathan Bishop from Man United is expected to sign in the next week or so on loan for the rest of the season. So there is this element of excitement, and there is this element of not too sure what's going to happen. But ultimately, you've got to be optimistic going into a new season. Gareth Ainsworth is going to celebrate his 10th year this September as the manager of Wycombe. And you wouldn't be in a job for 10 years if you don't know what you're doing. And he's had several promotions, both as a player and as a manager. So he has got that winning mentality, which he is obviously ingraining into his team. So I do believe with the new owners as well taking over the club, I genuinely believe this is a very exciting time to be linked with Wycombe Wanderers.
Indeed, and yeah, 10 years. So that's a good start, Gareth Ainsworth. You don't see that nowadays in football management.
No.
Not many managers can last a season nowadays, a full season. So fair play to him. You rattled out the players have left. It's been a quiet transfer window so far for Wycombe. Of course, you know, when the first ball kicks in League One, 30th of July, there'll be still a month for the window to go. So business can still be happening. What sort of business have they done so far? It sounds like they've re-signed Jack Young on a permanent deal. He was on loan last year at Newcastle. Any other business going on?
Yeah, so they've signed two players from the non-league. They've signed Jasper Paddington from Worthing Town. So he's joined the club, and they've also signed a young striker called Christy Ward for Brockenhurst. So two relatively unknown players really within the Football League, but they have got a lot of credentials. They've had a lot of positive testimonies, and there is this awe of excitement with the two players joining. And so far, the marquee signing has been Damani Mella on a free transfer from Manchester United. He has really got everyone talking. So those so far are the only transfers Wycombe have made. But you look beyond that, Wycombe last season had several players out on loan, and they have since returned. So you have the likes of Connor Parsons, who was out on loan at Bromley and Notts County, respectively. He's now returned to the first team. Ali Al Hamadi, he has rejoined. Well, I say rejoined. He's returned to Wanderers following his loan spell at Bromley too. He's the Iraqi international. He's actually played for the Iraqi first team. So we've got these young players coming back in on loan who are going to be involved with the first team, and in a way they could be deemed as new signings, because last season only had a few minutes under their belt playing in the Bucks and Bucks Cup, which is the regional tournament over here, with a few minutes here and there in other cup competitions. So those players coming in could also be deemed as fresh faces, new in a way like new signings. Even Nick Freeman. Nick Freeman's been at Wycombe for 6 years, and last season he only played 4 games, all in August, before he suffered an ACL injury that completely derailed his season. His season was over before it even begun. Really, he signed a new contract with the club, which will run out at the end of next season, and he will be a new signing, because for spending so much time out on the sidelines, he's ready to get back in and really remind the fans of what he's capable of, because prior to his injury, he was out on loan in Leyton Orient, so he wasn't really being seen much by Wycombe. He's actually only played 12 games in the last 2 seasons, so he really wants to get out there. So whilst 4 players have signed for Wycombe this summer, the players coming in off loan, Nick Freeman returning from his injury, there is this real sense of freshness about this Wycombe squad, and no doubt players will be added to the squad list before the end of August.
Yeah, I can imagine. And sometimes some clubs like Wycombe and sometimes you've got to work with the squad you got. Definitely academy players out on loan. So sometimes you can't read too much into, there's been no transfer business at that club, but you never know. There's some players that come out of the shadows, and out of nowhere they could be the superstar for the club. Well, James, what's your thoughts then for this season? Of course, hopefully playoffs, hopefully promotion, all that sort of stuff. As a reporter for the club, what do you reckon?
I'm going to remain optimistic, and I do genuinely believe that the playoffs is the bare minimum for Wycombe to achieve. I know it's going to be incredibly, incredibly hard with the teams that will be up and around the top half of the table, but Wycombe, following last season's disappointment and either being relegated to the Championship, they only went down by 1 point. They know they've got a good thing going. So I reckon goals for the season are obviously promotion. Whether they win the league, finish in the automatics, or get through the playoffs, it doesn't matter. That is their ultimate goal. And I think they'll be quite disheartened if they don't even reach the playoffs. Obviously, this is all before ball's been kicked, so we don't know any of the we don't know what could happen. Wycombe could have their worst start of the season, and they could be in a relegation fight. We just don't know. I sincerely hope they don't, but we just don't know. So I'm going to remain optimistic and say Wycombe's goal is obviously promotion. How they get there doesn't really matter, but it's all about getting into the top 6 and then just going from there. I mean, like we said, 83 points for a team not to get even into the top 2 is crazy, which goes to show you how League One has really progressed in a positive way. So yeah, I reckon playoffs bare minimum for Wycombe this season.
Okay then. Well, let's talk about the head-to-heads between Town and Wycombe. They've always been feisty encounters. A lot of comments made from Town fans, Wycombe fans. Town head to Wycombe, first of all, on the 17th of December, the last game before Christmas. So a cold night expected at Wycombe, I'm sure. Then a Good Friday game, April 7th at Portman Road for Wycombe to travel there. They're always going to be interesting encounters. Gareth Rainsworth versus Kieran McKenna. What do you reckon how those games are going to pan out?
Well, it's going to be hard because it's only been, I think, 2019, 2020 was the first time the two sides had actually met in a competitive match. Since then, 4 games have been played and Wycombe haven't won one. But these records have to be broken at some point. I'm going to remain optimistic, like I said earlier, and I'm going to hopefully go for a Wycombe win. But I guess everything is always circumstantial, isn't it? It's all about how it is at the time. Um, I do believe that Wycombe have got a very, very good home record. Last season, especially at the start of last season, they went on a brilliant run, and it was actually Ipswich that ended that run. That very cold night in November. I think it was a Tuesday night. So it's going to be a tough one to call. Wycombe have never beaten Ipswich, but there again, Ipswich last season were one of the favourites to go up, and they finished 11th. So at this stage, I reckon it's too early to tell. But I'm going to have to back the Club Eye reporter and say it's going to be a Wycombe win, even though it's still another 5 months away.
Yeah, it's a long way. Yeah, to think it's going to be December until we actually first meet, and then of course, Good Friday. That's when it's sort of the league is shaping up. We sort of know where teams are going to be. Both teams hopefully going to be in the playoffs and all that sort of stuff. Well, James, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me. First of all, any other business you want to add? Anything else you want to mention?
All I was going to say was I genuinely believe that this season's League One campaign will be a lot more exciting than last season. The teams that we've got in there, we've got your Derbys, your Peterboroughs, your Barnsleys, even teams who have been promoted into League One. Bristol Rovers, that's nobody expected them to go up in the way that they did last season, which was absolutely incredible. Yet Exeter, and they've been banging on the League One door now for a couple of years. Port Vale want to have a good season, but then the teams that haven't got up, you've got your likes of Ipswich, your Wycombes, Sheffield Wednesday as well. Milton Keynes, for example, they, in my opinion, I should say this from a Wycombe perspective, with them being the Bucks rivals, but they played some of the best football I'd seen last season out of all the teams, and they didn't even get into the league, into the final for the playoffs. So I genuinely believe that it's going to be a very, very exciting season, and we can't write off teams like Oxford United as well, who always seem to have a promotion push. So I reckon next season is going to be one that's going to be remembered for a long, long time, and there will be tears at the end of it.
Yeah, hopefully it's not for Wycombe or Ipswich Town, but I'm going to be speaking to all the reporters, fans, podcasters for this League One lowdown, and there's going to be a point where I'm going to say, yeah, you're not going to get in the playoffs because there's too many teams there for you. So there we go. It's going to be an exciting season. James, thanks for joining me. Nice to meet you. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts. Wycombe fans, Town fans, let's get ready for a big League One season. Let's go.